Hey Joe, I got your email about chapter 4. And yeah, actually, as I was reading through the text, I can see where it would be a little confusing because they kind of scatter the discussion of the generic classes a little bit. But let's go through these one by one. You got the idea pretty well for the 4.4 through 4.6, but let's just step through these. So for 4.2, what was the question for 4.2? Let's see. Okay, it was what happens if you create a new music organizer object and then call remove file 0 before you've added any files to it? Do you get an error? Would you expect to get an error? And as you said, there wasn't an error, but you expected to get one. So let's just make sure we're clear on why you didn't get one. So I'm creating a brand new music organizer and doing the remove file, and I haven't added anything, and just like you found, I say okay, and everything's cool. There's no errors. I can double check, look at my terminal. Nothing showed up. So what's going on? So okay, well, let's open up music organizer here and see what that remove file method looks like. Okay, so it's right here. So what happens? We said remove file with an index of 0, right? Notice we have this test right here, this if statement. So our index is 0. So this first bit here where it says index greater than or equal to 0, that's going to be true, right? Because if the index is 0, 0 is greater than or equal to 0. So that's true. But then we have this AND statement here, which says that both of these expressions have to be true. This has to be true, and this has to be true in order to pass the test, the truth test, right? So our file size right now is 0. Our index is 0, but 0 is not less than 0. So this expression is going to be false in this case. So what happens is, because this is false, that means the whole test is false because we're ANDing a true and a false. And so we don't perform this statement. And this is a typical kind of programming thing. And depending on the application, it could be a good or a bad idea, right? If you want to make sure you're catching these problems, then maybe you want to be sure to throw or at least maybe print out a statement saying, hey, your index is out of range. But it's very common to test to see if the index is in range before we try to do anything. Okay, and then the same thing happens here in the list file, right? We're checking to make sure that our index is in range before we try to do anything. So that's what's going on with that one. Let's see, what other questions do we have? So 4.3, create a music organizer and add 2 files to it. Now call remove file. What happened? Oh yeah, you got that one. So yeah, it just basically whenever you remove a file, everything gets compressed so that you always have 0 through file size -1 occupied. Right? Okay, so let's go to let's see. So these guys you got. Just double check. Those are the ones with yeah, where the array list was like that. And oh, it's kind of hard for me to tell. There shouldn't be any space here in between the T and the C. Maybe you didn't put any, but it's just hard for me to see. It almost looks like there is one. But as long as these are all one word, then this is fine. And we can even, for kicks, let's just make, what are those classes? Let me just see what those classes are. Oh. Okay, so we have a book class, a student class, and a music track class. Let's just make those classes. Book, okay, and student, and music track. I'm just doing this so we can just test out and make sure. So whenever you create a new class this way, it just creates an empty shell of a class. It has this kind of phony baloney method that it gets stuck in just as a sample method. But it'll compile. So these will all compile. And then we can actually try putting in these. So I could say now for, let's say, exercise 4.5, let's say, does this need to be, does this want to be private? Let me just check what the question was. Write a declaration of a local variable. Oh, okay, no. So we want a local variable here, so let's do it like this. Oh, rid of the wrong thing. So if we want this to be a local variable, we need to put it into like one of our methods. Let's just add a phony method here. So just insert a, wait, I'm going to insert it down here. Let's say insert method, and it'll just put in a phony baloney method. And then we can add our local variable here. So a local variable has to be inside of a method, right? And private array list. Oh wait, but it's not private anymore, right? Because it's local. So array list student CS101 there. And I'm going to do an auto layout here. Boink. Okay. And let's make sure it compiles, and then we'll know we did it right? And yep, it's okay, it compiles. Okay, so that's that one. Then we can do, we also created a music track object. So now we're going to do, for this one, it's going to be a field, right? Oh wait, this is 4.6. Write a declaration of a private field called tracks. Okay. So let's do that here. So exercise 4.6, private array list music track tracks. Make sure that compiles. That's good. All right, and then 4.7 was a little trickier here. So for 4.7, write assignments to the library. Library CS101 and track variables, which you define to create appropriate objects. Write them once without using diamond notation and once with diamond notation if you're using a Java 7 compiler. So actually, you know, the discussion on generic, let me find it. The discussion on generic classes is in 4.6, but they actually had some earlier discussion on the diamond notation stuff. Let me see if I can find it here. So yeah, so when they talk about setting up private array list string, and diamond notation. See, it says files equals new array list string. So this, and then this is the diamond notation they're talking about, with just, you know, no type inside here. So this type, what this type is this type corresponds to the type that it's declared with. Okay, so this is files is an array list of strings. So when we initialize files, we have to initialize it as an array list of strings. Okay, and so what that means is for these other guys, let's get back into the if we're going to initialize a library of books, let's say. Well, did I create a library object? Oh yeah, let me do the library one too. Oh, that was exercise 4.4, right? Let's see. Private array list book library, right? Okay. So compile, make sure. Okay. So now we want to initialize all of these guys. Now actually, since library and tracks are fields, we could initialize those any place. Let's just initialize them in the constructor for kicks. So I'll say library equals new array list. And again, this is an array list of books, okay? So I have to use book as my in my template here to create this class. Okay, so see, files is an array list of strings, right? So files gets initialized this way, and library is an array list of type book, so it gets initialized that way. And if we were going to, well, let's do, so then tracks is going to be new array list music track. Okay, and we compile those. And now notice though, your the CS101, that list of students, that's a local variable. So we can't, if we tried initializing that one here, we would be in trouble. So let's do student and compile, and see, it's not defined as a field. It's only defined, it only has meaning inside this method here. So let's move it, cut and paste. Okay, and now here, now it'll compile. Okay, and then if you want to do this using diamond notation, let's take a look at the diamond notation thing. So see, for diamond notation, if you're using Java 7 or later, you don't need to put in the type when you're initializing it. You still need the type when you're declaring it, right? You still need, let's see, so we still need to put our type in here when we're declaring these guys, when we declare the array list for the first time, and right here. But when you're initializing it, you could say, excuse me, you could say, you know, you could take these out, and it'll still compile just fine. Okay, and same thing here. Okay, so that's the diamond notation. It just means, because the two brackets together look like a diamond. And I think that was all of them. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so I hope that helps. And if you have any more questions on those, shoot me another email.